All right, in the meantime, let's go ahead and bring in attorney Yohayra Azcona. Yohayra, are you there with us?
I am. Hi, guys. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Can you go ahead and break down what does this split verdict kind of indicate?
It indicates that it's not looking good for Sean Combs. The fact that they have been able to reach a verdict on most of the counts in such a short amount of time, it shows that they really feel that he's guilty and that the federal prosecutors were able to prove their case efficiently, effectively, and beyond a reasonable doubt. The fact that they haven't come to a decision in regards to the RICO charge is concerning, and it is going to present obstacles for the judge and for the federal prosecutors. But I do anticipate that the judge is going to really be strong and encouraging on them moving forward and in reaching a verdict, regardless of the difficulties. It is still early on in the process, so if they needed an extra day or two in order to reach a verdict as it pertains to that last RICO charge, I anticipate that the judge is going to give them that time, especially considering the consequences. A RICO charge can come up with life in prison, and understanding the consequences, the sentencing possibilities and options that surround these type of charges, I do anticipate that the judge is going to be hard on them about reaching a verdict. But as far as the partial verdict that is in, he is most likely going to be looking at double digits in regards to prison time.
And the counts 2, 3, 4, and 5. What's easier for a jury to find a guilty verdict on? Those four counts, or is RICO really that difficult of a case?
I think that RICO is a lot more difficult. I think that the sexual criminalization of people was seen throughout. I think that I'm not surprised that the jury found him guilty. I think that it's low-hanging fruit, if I'm going to be honest, in regards to the allegations. But with the RICO, again, you need to show that he was engaging in enterprises with the objective of orchestrating criminal events. In this case, those criminal events being the freak-offs. It's difficult to prove that he was orchestrating an organization when he is the only person that has been charged and that is technically in charge of this RICO or of this organization. Usually you find that most people or other people are charged and have more prominent roles in the organization and in the orchestration of these criminal activities. I think that because they really focus on making Sean Diddy Combs and only Sean Diddy Combs the main front or the main runner of this entire organization, I think that's what is kind of presenting some challenges in conjunction with the consent that we've seen on behalf of the victims. Of course, it became difficult to, again, isolate when the consent became coercion, but I think that those challenges is kind of what is not really allowing the jury to make a decisive decision at this time as it pertains to the RICO. But the other charges, I think that, you know, as I mentioned early on, I don't think that jurors are going to be able to identify with some of these activities and some of these preferences. So I'm not shocked by their findings and their position.
Okay, so we're still waiting for the official verdict on all of the charges. You mentioned the RICO charges, the one that they could be a little bit more hung up on. What happens if they aren't able to come to a consensus on that one charge?
It's really up to the judge and the prosecution. Maybe they can come to an agreement in regards to what they do with the charge. But I think the fact that they've already agreed on 4 out of the 5 counts, I fully anticipate that this court and this judge is going to put some pressure on them in order to find a conclusion. And if not, maybe the attorneys can reach some sort of deal as to how they address that matter. But I also don't think that the prosecution is in a position to let this go. I think that the prosecution is going to really emphasize the need for a verdict or the need for a guilty plea. In my experience once you make prosecutors prove their matter and go through trial and go through these motions, they're not really amenable to a resolution or an agreement of sorts. So I think that either they're going to be forced to find a resolution, or Diddy's team is going to have to get very creative as to how we resolve it.